There we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it might be where you are. Welcome back to the live stream. My name is Jeff Ritz, and today is January 2nd, 2020.
Greetings, my excellent friend.
It's so good to see everybody. How's it going there? Like PowerShell Freak already.
PowerShell_Freak just resubscribed for 10 months.
10 months? Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for that. We're going to make a donation. I'm still working on who we're going to donate to this quarter. Thank you very, very much for that. That's very kind. This is the way. And since I figured, I noticed that with the headset and microphone up, I really do look like the Mandalorian. You like the hat? I had it for a day last week, the week before. Coding Stocks.
Coding Stocks just resubscribed for 5 months.
Thank you so much. I had this hat a week or two ago, and somebody turned in a channel points redemption for me to change hats. And I was like, no, I got to go back. This is the way. We need to try that again. No, not Stormtrooper. It's the Mandalorian, right? Because I've got the little demon logo on the side that's on his the shoulder, the pauldron. Is that what they call him? The shoulder of his armor. Very cool stuff. Happy New Year. Yes, Coding Bandit is here. Good morning, S&B. Those two are members of the Live Coders team. Who else is here? Hucking Fackers, Twitch Loft, Nothing Else Matters, Stelzy, Tagaron, Devipar. Oh my goodness. Sean is here. John Calloway. John Calloway. Let's have some tacos for John Calloway. Let's do that. Webface CA. Hello, hello. Yep, loading up the G Fuel. Got to get that set today. I've got some Phaseberry on board. Kabazi's here. Thank you. Thank you for the tacos. Hey, Maz. Good to see you. And I'm going to take a look at your pull requests. Probably not today. Maybe in tomorrow's stream we'll take a look at those. There's a little bit of sickness going through the house right now, so I've got some post-nasal drip here. Svava!
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Happy 2020. Sarah Fats. Hello, hello, my friend. Thank you, Svava, for that cheer. We'll make another donation. So I wanted to spend some time today talking about testing with our Blazor components. Our friend E. Johansson has been popping in here, helping out with some directions, some different things that we can do to unit test our Blazor components. And we're building these very simple components that hopefully will allow web forms developers to migrate their old legacy code, move it forward so that they can continue using the same markup. They might have to change their code, but hopefully there's a minimal amount of on-ramp that they can hit there. So this is an open source community project anybody can participate in, and I'm hoping other folks pick up and start contributing, because I think this is very worthwhile for folks to be able to check out. Coding Bandits enjoying the last couple days in Florida, back to realities in a few days. Sorry to hear that. Yeah. Speaking of back to reality, I want to share with you a little bit of feedback that I got. I post a lot of our videos. I'm very far behind.
Hi there. My name is Jeff Fritz.
Yeah, that's me. I post a lot of the videos. I'm trying to get all of the videos posted, but I post all the videos that we have here on the channel, particularly when we do workshops. I share these back over to YouTube, and I read every comment that's posted, and I want to make sure that the content that we have here on Twitch is valuable. And I want to discuss a reply that I got this morning, actually about a half hour ago. I want to show you this and get your feedback, chat room, before I move forward with our next workshop that we're going to do here together on stream. And it's right here from Daniel. And I'm not knocking Daniel's feedback here, but I want to read through it and understand it a little bit and see what we can learn from this and move forward and improve a little bit of the presentation here. Great material, a little hard to follow for these reasons. Way too much distraction with the non-coding stuff. Referring to, I think, some of the Capagen emotes flying on the screen, the alerts that pop up, these types of things that happen that we have fun with here on Twitch, that I think are part of the Twitch culture, but clearly folks on YouTube don't appreciate because it's not live. They can't interact. So I appreciate this statement, but this is where I struggle with the difference between YouTube and Twitch. When you're watching an archive of something that happened on Twitch, you're getting that stuff. This is for the ASP.NET Core 2.2 workshop that we did over here. I'll share the link. We did this back in July. I'm reading the comment here from Oren. I'm not quite sure what your point is there, Oren. It feels a little off topic. Yeah, people assume this is a tutorial, that it's a straight ahead tutorial, and that there aren't the things that we do here live on Twitch. They don't understand that this is a discussion here. Their PC did not have some packages installed. They ran into a bunch of errors. Now, this video is 6 months old, so some of the things that they're trying to do have changed. Covering the most basic programming language syntax out of context. So they think I'm not... A beginner workshop is too beginner for them. But it's a beginner's course to learning .NET Core. So I'm kind of torn here on this. And found out that the way the C# behavior, C# plugin behavior is different in VS Code than how I expected it. Yeah, it is. So, I could do delayed alerts, says Lucky Number 7. You know what? Part of me says when we do a workshop, let's pull the alerts all together. Pull the alerts, pull the Capagen, but still have discussions with chat. I think that's, for a workshop format, would be the way to go with this. Yeah, the comments here, I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not offended. I'm just trying to figure out, what do I learn from this? How do I modify going forward? YouTube tries to move to a basic rewind and fast forward option. You want to break videos and do continuous play.
Let me add some value.
Oh my gosh, Carrie!
The best way to start a new year is to cheer loudly for all to hear.
Thank you so much for that cheer. Yeah, we'll make another donation on that. Oh my goodness. And thank you for the follow, Oren. I appreciate that. They want something that says this is why you should use YouTube. It's very boring in comparison. Agreed. Yeah, there is a lot of context that's lost. You're right, Fletcher. And that's why for a while I was putting the stream chat here on the side, but it turned out to be a little not tedious, a little disastrous, a little something I had to be careful with, because folks would post whatever in chat and it would appear on the side here, and that's not something that I want to be able to do.
Let me add some value.
Davipod. Thank you so much for that. You really enjoy the streaming. Thank you so much for that. YouTube's fast forward and rewind is as basic as gets right now. You point at a line and it plays from that spot. Yep. Well, and it'll remember where you left off. So if I pause where I'm watching here, I can go to another device, my phone, a tablet, even my Oculus Quest, and it'll pick up at that same point. So very, very cool stuff. You just want people to have the opportunity to use the platform as they wish if they want to watch Game of the Day videos on Twitch, but don't feel like you have to do this. You don't have to do that. Yeah, okay. Found the class very helpful. Looking forward to the next one, says Nothing Else Matter. Maybe just a little agree on the copy and paste. Yeah, I agree. The copy and paste, once I got past the initial, let me explain what this is. To finish some of the tutorial is a lot of copy and paste, because you do the exact same thing to the next half dozen objects. So I kind of agree with that, and I'm trying to figure out a better way to present that, a better way to put that together and show that. So any disagreement on whether you want to watch real live streaming or to follow what's happening is going to be negotiable. Yeah. 2 instances of an encoder, one for each platform, asks DJ Vortex. And have it record video that doesn't include the alerts and the various things that are going on here on Twitch. That's one way to do it. Okay. That would be interesting. And then pause and edit when things happen that I acknowledge. Sure. And that runs into a little bit of the discussion of needing to do more editing, and it puts a lot more production value behind a video like this, right? Actually putting together the content is one thing. Then actually producing it is a lot more after that then. So OBS could do that. OBS can save in a different, can save with a different series of setups. I can export my video from one OBS into another. So I could have one OBS that has the straight ahead, the different camera angles, all the things, and another one that's actually streaming, that's taking in the output of the first one and layering on top all the various things that we do here. So could be done. So making YouTube private for Twitch archive. No, disagree. I do need to get more editing in place, and that's something that I've struggled with. A number of the videos that I'm trying to publish here for November have copyright strikes against them. Not strikes, copyright claims against them. And I need to go in and remove and mute some of the audio and edit things. And the editing, once a video is arrived on the YouTube platform, is difficult. It's not easy. Singing Mexican, hello, you like my hat today. Thank you. There is a plugin that exports a separate scene to another instance of OBS. A separate scene? Well, I can do NDI. I can do NDI output and push it somewhere else. Yes. Yeah, I don't want to make anything subscriber only. I feel that limits a little bit of the interaction that folks can have. So that's some of the feedback that I get on YouTube videos and things that help me shape and put together the video, the content that we want to show here. No, I don't think Oren is a bot. Oh, but that... Oh. Mr. Magoo.
Blazor Mr. Magoo just resubscribed for 21 months. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. 21 months. Oh my goodness. And a bunch of emotes shared to folks in the channel. Very cool. People, this is an interesting comment from Carrie. Let me go back to here. Over here. Think people watching the workshop is down to business, focused with no distraction. Twitch coding is edutainment. Yes. I think YouTube is a different mindset altogether. Yeah. People do expect polish on YouTube. Entirely, yes. Decided early on I wasn't going to move my streams over. I just wish Twitch would keep them in the library for 1 to 2 years instead of the shorter durations. You're not wrong. It's not bad. Yeah, Oren, you seem very, very much like a bot. Yeah, thank you, Smab. Wow. You could make them highlights. That's definitely a thing that moves video forward and keeps it around. But there's the discoverability and the watching, the visibility of historical content on YouTube is huge. YouTube is the #1 search engine for folks between the ages of 16 and 21. Thank you for the follow. I'm looking for that. Edwards 8 Triangle. Welcome. Yeah. I don't know how... That was a very advanced bot with how it was putting together some of that stuff. But a longer Twitch archive is really what I try to do with YouTube. And I want to edit down some of the content so that we get focused on some of the things that we're building and talking about. The upload, that's the same bot. Yeah, Edwards 8 Triangle is a bot as well. Sarah!
Sfarts just gifted 10 subs.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much, Sarah. That is very kind of you. We're going to make a bunch of donations here. I still have to figure out who my January charity is going to be, but Jeff Widmer, Kabazi, Elite Raw, Bald Clap, The Huff, Prebon, Code Rushed, is that LQ Dev 1, Juan Von, and Neil J99. Congratulations. You just got gift subscriptions from our friend Sarah Fats and the very nice folks over at Progress. Thank you so much. Progress Software. Very cool. Thank you so much. And a handful of emotes. How many emotes? It should say 50 emotes went into the channel from our friends at Coca-Cola and the Haha Holidays promotion. Yes, Attack of the Bots. Editing is a full-time job. So the rule of thumb is for the duration of the video that's recorded, the amount of time it takes to edit is 3 times that. So I'm putting together 2 hours of video here each day that I stream, roughly, on average, 2 hours. Yesterday we did 4, and that was great. But if I'm doing 2 hours and it takes me 3 times that to edit, that's 6 hours. I'm not doing anything else except for producing content, then editing it. There is no time there to plan, do additional code work, scheduling, team management, any of that stuff. I'm just editing video. I don't have time for that. To get exactly like Stelzy's saying here, to get those YouTube videos down to 20 to 30 minutes. And that's why, for the most part, I just archive, here's the entire show over on YouTube. So we need to figure that out a little bit. I think there's something there. Thank you, Smab, for the moderation help there. I appreciate that. Yeah, the bots are here. That's weird. Not weird. It's somebody trying to make a name for themselves. So let me get some music playing in the background here. Let's get things started. Let's play. This is Cyan. We like this one. And now it's downloading. Thank you for the follow, Neil J99 and Victor Asins. Hello, Victor. Good to see you. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right there, but it's Victor. Good to see you. I was swapping some messages with Victor. Yeah, love the cheer. Love the cheer. Add some value in there. Right, I'm assuming this is the same Victor I was talking to earlier. That's a great idea, Moz. Add a small disclaimer to the video saying that it's from the Twitch archive. That's not a bad idea. Neil. Yeah, bye-bye. Thank you. Hey, Robert Table's helping out. Thank you so much. Lucky number 7, you're right. And Coding Bandit as well, with the same thoughts here. Lucky number 7, Robert Tables and the Coding Bandit, Rambling Geek as well. Look at this, live coders right here, all 4 of them. Editing down and polishing for YouTube is definitely something that we should do based on input. And our friend, the bald bearded builder, Michael Jolly, he has a neat, and so Brian Clark does this as well. They have a neat way that they mark content so that they know where the good parts are and they can edit down. I think Ninja Bunny does that as well. So mods are on point today. Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey Honey Pop, good to see you. So, and while we're here, lucky number 7 right there, and our friend, the bald bearded builder, Michael Jolly, both got their MVP award, Microsoft MVP award this week. Congratulations to both of them. That is fantastic. You're right, Stelzy. Basically, this video is recorded in front of a live Twitch chat room. What you're seeing happened live on Twitch. If you want to see more great content like this, go to twitch.tv/C#Fritz to learn more. It's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea to put a little disclaimer or a little banner at the beginning that appears for just a few seconds and disappears. Not bad at all. I like that. Late to the stream, says Stormfist, but where did I get that hat? This I got at Spencer Gifts in the Philadelphia area. So that's a great plug for any Twitch channel. Yeah, Mike Holloway. Well, I do have the redemptions available if folks want me to do a voiceover for their Twitch channel. I'm happy to, but to put a little splash screen in front about this, not bad. I do have Corgi Candy is working on a logo and working on some more emotes for us.
Sharp Josh just resubscribed for 11 months.
Thank you so much, C Sharp Josh. 11 months, almost at a year. Absolutely. Appreciate that, and we'll make another donation. Thank you for the shout-outs. Yeah, lucky number 7. Can you borrow the hat? Asks Honey Pop. I don't think I can. It's stuck here. I can't move it. Happy New Year to you. Frank Busheros is here. Frank's another member of the Live Coders team. Good to see you. So this is Cyan from Music to Code Byte. Thank you. We got distracted here. All these things from our friend Mr. Carl Franklin, scientifically designed, engineered to get you in the flow, get you in the groove, so that you can focus on whatever task it is, whether it's writing code, doing homework, writing documentation, whatever. Check it out. mtcb.pwop.com. There's the link. It's right there in the chat room, so you can get your copy today. All right, let's get into this. I wanted to talk about testing. I want to talk about Blazor, and I want to talk about adding style to these components. So we've been working with our friend E. Johansson about testing Blazor components, and he's got a really great test framework available to us, for us, and we're using it for this project. And we'll talk more about the project in a little bit. But it's right here at Razor Components Testing Library. And let me share this link into the chat. Oh, you're almost there, Rambling Geek. Oh my goodness. And I don't mind pausing and recording voiceovers here while we're writing code. I'll just queue it up so that we can we have a logical pause point, and then I can edit later. So see that? See how that works? Okay. So this is a really cool library that I've been using. You've seen me use here on stream, that allows me to write tests that define in Razor, use this component here, and inspect it and perform appropriate assertions, tests against this. This is really great because this means that we're writing our tests in the same format as we're executing and working with these components. Great. What we ran into is we're using cascading values inside of our component, and they're not popping up, they're not appearing and being used, they're not being applied when the test fires. So what I want to do is just inspect that a little bit more. And I sent Egil a tweet. You may have seen it out on the Twitters. You know, the Twitters, that place where you go and you write things and people respond to it, you know.
Oh my.
And he said, can you give me a simple repo? Can you give me a simple reproduction of exactly what the problem is? That way he doesn't have to load up and run our entire project to figure out, hey, here's the problem. So that's what I wanted to do first, was I want to show you here on Twitch the problem that I'm seeing, and I want to work together to put together a simple, reproducible problem, instance of how this is manifesting, the problem that I'm seeing, so that Egil and his team on the project here can work through and hopefully fix the unit test framework, or point out to me, Jeff, you missed something here. You're not using the tools properly. And we're able to go back and make all of our tests run better. Vector has been saved. Vector? What's Vector? Heading out to catch up some more rays. Have a good one, Coding Bandit. Have a good day. Vector? Is Vector your little bot? I can't remember. All right. So let me show you what's going on here. I'm over here, and I just wrote another feature into this. No, let's do this. I'll start it down here on Visual Studio. I just wrote another feature so that it'll copy over the color, the for color in our header style. And I want to show you a little bit of how this is working so we can hopefully improve this and be able to reuse this, because we're going to get into the grid view eventually where there's tons of styles and formatting that's going to be applied and pushed around, and we want to make sure that that's portable and that what we've written here for the DataList component works when we reuse it in the grid. So let's take a look. The Anki bot. Oh no! Anki went broke. Oh gosh. Alright, so let me open this up. Let me show you. So here's the one test that is failing. And what this is doing is it's taking a look, and this is the test actually right here in front of me. So what the test does is it says, hey, here's a data list with a collection of items. The item type is widget, and we're going to repeat this as a table. And here's how I'm doing the header style right now. I have to put it inside of child content here. I'm not a fan of that, but it works for right now. We'll get it working, and we'll see if we can make it simpler, make it identical to the way ASP.NET does it, right? Because the way ASP.NET does header style with a data list is it actually just has header style like this, and then you provide the various styles on this as attributes. But having this, and it's not a render fragment, right? A render fragment in a Blazor component doesn't have attributes. It's a container for a template that is going to be formatted later. Well, we're not doing that. This is more like a meta enhancer, right? It's enhancing the data list. So that's not really the thing that we want there. So by putting it inside child content, this is going to be evaluated, and it sees this now as a component. Header style as a component. F12 doesn't navigate to it. And that header style, right? Oh boy, I've got too many things named header style here. That's not at all confusing. The actual header style control has no content to it. It's just a bunch of code that sets values inside of this cascaded parameter that is the actual container for the styles. So this is where we're going to be passing values back and forth. And this is where we need to give Egil a little bit of a sample, because the style that's being passed down into this, I'll run the test so you can see it. When it renders, it doesn't actually do the second render where the cascaded parameter is made available and pushed into my markup. Uh-oh. Do you see what I see? Fierce Kittens is here. Run!
What'd you do?
I did nothing, but Fierce Kittens is here, and I'm intimidated. How's it going there, friend? So good to see you. So here, see it fails, and it says there is no style applied inside of my component. Now let me show you what happens when I actually run this in a full integration test. So up here, not in my web forms project. So I have this project called After Blazor Server Side that actually shows the components running in a Blazor application with the various features turned on and turned off. If I run this, and I want to show you how it works, I want to get your feedback, because maybe I'm missing something. Right? First thing I always think is, whenever I run into something that isn't working properly, I always first think, oh, Jeff, you wrote your code wrong. You wrote a bug. And that might be the case. It might not be the case. So first thing I checked was here, see how header style is empty, right? There's nothing in the header style object, but the header style is my cascading parameter. So it hasn't been set yet. Now, when I step through this, right? So now I've got, don't put a break there. Now I've got header style, right? It's rendered it a second time, and now I have. So now I have style, and the style cascades through, and it appears here. So there's a double render that happens. But Blazor does this very nicely and passes the information to the browser. And if we look at the network here, this is really neat when you see how this works. I'm in Firefox, aren't I? Drat. All right. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I need to use Edge. I need to use Microsoft Edge. That's totally a thing. Hey, look. Okay. So header template, right? I'm going through. It renders several times here. All right. Let me turn this off. Let it go through. There it is. Hang on. I got a thing here. Make sure I'm on the right profile, so I don't inadvertently show some work things and whatnot. All right. So when I F12 and look at the network, because Chrome does a really nice job of showing the network interaction over here. So I'll refresh one more time because I want to see here the WebSockets and the messages. Now it should have sent a message. When I click into the WebSocket, it's not showing it. Haha! So it did render properly then with this style applied. Is that what you're telling me? So here's the response. Table. TD simple widgets. No, it doesn't have the style applied. See that? I don't think. I was running into this at Philly.net as well. Have I tried collections? No. Am I going to try collections? No. Let me show you. The new Edge is amazing. Yes. But every now and again it chokes for me. Doesn't quite do things the right way. So let me dock this on the right and go back to network. Hard refresh. All right, there we go. Blazor Messages. Now I'm seeing it. Didn't see Edge wasn't showing me the messages that were being passed back and forth here. So we know that Blazor passes messages back and forth. Blazor server side. That contains information when there's a change to the user interface. So look at what it's passing back and forth. Look at all this. Blah 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 blah. It's all compressed stuff, so it's here we go. Assembly, found, not found, route data, sidebar, blah 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 blah, about the sidebar stuff. But eventually there's a thing in here where it received a message about the style to paint. Now, and then I want to talk about one thing that I want to make sure we all understand. There it is. So there, it received a message to paint the background color. See that? And to load up the data. Now, so it's literally coming down as a second request. If I do a hard refresh, you see it loads that and it paints it as a second request here. I'm pre-rendering, which is why I get 2 renders. That's fine. I'm okay with that. For the purposes of this, that's okay. But when I look at the test, which one is it? Over here. It gets the component, and it never sees that the style that I've requested, and I'm just trying to set a color here, that never gets applied after the fact. It only does the first render, and it doesn't trigger and walk through the additional renders. So I agree with you, Mr. Magoo. It is doing multiple renders, and I am pre-rendering, and I want it to pre-render because I'm doing server side. But I'm not getting that secondary pass through when it runs in test mode, right? So when I go back over here and I run the unit test, and in particular, let me do this. Not that one. No. Here. So let me put a break there so you can see it actually setting the style. If I debug the test that actually does this. Well, the test actually, I'm not even at, the test doesn't pre-render, right? So now I've got header style, and I'm setting my colors here, okay? Step that through. Yeah. I don't care about that one. And now, what was rendered that the unit test is looking at doesn't see that secondary render, right? Here's the thing also, I can't see, I would love to be able to see the HTML. There's a way to get the HTML here. Inner HTML. No, I don't want the inner, I want the outer HTML. There it is. So I'm trying to see that style says background color blue, and it isn't doing it, right? Because it's not hitting that second render through. So part of me says, well, okay, wait for the next render. Trigger the next render. Let's go step through. And it's not hitting that also. So, am I doing something wrong? Right, I should only get one render, and that's fine. I want to trigger the second render because I've set, here's the items, and I've passed it through. Going one step further, if I look at my table layout simple here, right here, I'm setting the items and loading that up. This does return properly the appropriate collection of TDs. So it is. Let me back up just a second. Yeah, that's fine. Get rid of that sample for now. Here, this is on initialized. So this should be rendering, I would think this should be rendering as part of the first render through the chain, right? And for those of you that aren't familiar with what I'm discussing here, what I'm going through, there's a series of events that happen in the rendering of these controls, of these components. When the component is rendered, it should go through, if I understand it properly, it should go through, find all of its children, and render those. Which means it goes through and it steps through and assigns all the properties like these for colors and borders, and fires the events, initialized, parameter set, and returns some HTML to the containing component, and eventually to the containing component, the component that contains that, all the way up to the page, which then delivers HTML to the browser. So, Stelzy, that's exactly the question that I have is this a wiring bug in Blazor, or is this the unit test? How do I get the unit test to trigger that second render? Because it is rendering a second time, but it's not for some reason. that makes sense. So, right? It feels weird. So, in an effort to try and isolate the code that I've written and figure out, is this something that I'm not doing right, or the unit test framework isn't doing right, or Blazor isn't doing right, I want to write a quick repro. Very simple, get rid of everything else so it's just our components. Not even our components, but a component that behaves the same way as this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually open another Visual Studio. And I'm going to write a very simple project, include the unit tests, and publish this in a local repository, in a GitHub repository, so that Egil and his team can take a look. House be such.
Zero use be such just resubscribed for 10 months. We eat.
Thank you so much, House be such. I really appreciate the 10 months. Very cool, and we'll make a donation. Thank you very, very much. So let's call this Blazor Test Repro. Right? No. Move that up here. That's fine. Create this. And let's see. I'm going to make this a Blazor server app because this is the one that's supported for right now. I should be able to put the tests in the same project and be able to verify that. So let me get rid of all these other things that we don't need. So I'm going to get rid of the weather forecast stuff that's here because I don't want to work through any of that. Let me get rid of the counter and the fetch data. No, you shouldn't have done that. Thank you. And let me go down into the navigation, get rid of these other things. Okay. So now I want to create two components and I want to create that test. Sounds like it should be pronounced in German. Could be. But it looks like house be such, but oh my gosh. So is it use Besuch? No partial classes? I don't think so, not for this. So I'll get rid of the data folder. Now the test, right? Let me just steal, yeah. The couple indicators here for the test project and bring those in here so they're available. This is an item group. There we go. So what I should be able to do, right? Ah, there we go. Hausbesuch. Okay. I could do that. Well, thank you so much. I very much appreciate the cheer and the sub. Great stuff. All right. So let me add two components, and I'll make one. I'll make one the parent component, and I'll make the other one the child, and we should cascade values from one into the other, and I'll just cascade like a number back and forth so that we can see it. And I will call this child. Okay. So here, cascading parameter, and I'll even give it a name like I did the other time. And we'll call this number. right? And this is a property, sure, my number, okay? And I'm going to call cascading value. Name equals, that's weird. Value equals my number. Okay. And if I set my number here equal to 3, you know what? Yeah. Let's do like that. And inside of my child, actually this, right? This should be somewhere else. Oh my goodness. Joizo. Wow. Let you add 2 components and make the other one a child. Is it me or does Joizo look like a created 17 minutes ago? That's a bot. Yeah. Thank you, Robert Tables. I don't think I want the cascading parameter here, right? But this I can make a parameter. There we go. All right, so in my child component, right? So in here, cascading parameter, name equals my number, right? And this is another thing, and we'll call this my number just so it's easy and it matches up. And just put a quick span. Style equals font, weight, bold. My number is my number, right? So parent, and so that cascading value child. So it should cascade and push my number down into it. I think I'll make this the same, right? Yeah. Okay. New year, new decade, new bots. Agree, binary chef. In the child component, this is a number easy to catch up. Oh, double say. Wow, there's another one. Whew. Why kick all the bots? They might have feelings too. Yeah, right. Oh my goodness. Created 25 minutes ago. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Let's do a report on this one. Yep. The bots are now pulling text from the chance to try and seem more convincing. Yes. Why isn't it banning? I right click. Yeah, ban. Goodbye. A lot of spam. A lot of spam, a lot of bots. I don't get it. Okay, so this should now render and pass the value 3 down into the child. And I can even, well, let's run that and see. They refer to themselves as PR bots. Are you kidding? Gotta remove that, and I need that parent component somewhere. So let's put parent here. So now it should load up. Welcome to your new app. And are you kidding? Anything else here that I need to get rid of because of the stuff I deleted? No. That should be everything. All right, here we go. What? More than one entry point. Oh, because of how I added the test stuff. Yes, please, somebody clip that. What? Do I need to add it as a secondary project? I don't want to. I will. So if I do that and kick this off, there it goes. Hey, Simo, good to see you. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I just learned it's House Bisouch. All right, so now this is running, and let's see what the test looks like. Well, the page looks like it should render everything, and I should see my number is 3 inside the child. It's passed that number all the way down so that it's there. All right. Now, let me go back. So there's this interesting thing where it's passing the value actually, right? I'm actually passing it back. If we take a look at how this works, right? It's taking in the values in the child, putting them into the cascaded parameter, and it's pushing it back up the chain. So oh boy. Wow. And here's another one. I mean, seriously? Unreal. Unreal. All right. So the way that this is working is it's passing a number in and it goes up the chain. So if I override on initialize, we need to fix that bug. Protected override on initialize. I hope somebody from the Visual Studio team is watching or is catching a clip here. My number equals 3. So that's going to set it in here, which should make it available there. And if I walk that back up, yes. Oh, I'm not returning anything. There we go. Right? Thank you. So that value is being passed in from here, right? Oh no. Thank you, Robert Tables. Let's see what happens there. Neo Ashi, thank you. So now, right, if I take this value out of here, right, the value in my number at the parent is, and let's see what that does. So now it's being set inside the child and being walked up. It moved over here. Okay, so I'm not doing it quite the same way because I didn't get it all the way back. Okay. Why didn't it come all the way back? I didn't base on initialized. Okay. Let's try that. No, what are you doing? Let me do a control F5 so it starts. No, that didn't grab it either. So, all right, let's do this. I'm actually setting it right, coming in off of come on, like this. So if I say my number, right, equals the number that was passed in, right? So I'm gimmicking this. It is one of those state has changed issues, yes. So here I can say number equals 3, and it should set that, right? So this, right, walk through this here with me, chat room, right? Because this is that loop to loop it's doing here. So my parent is saying, here's the value. That value is being set here. When the child component is initialized, it's being set on the cascading parameter, which should be stored in, I don't even need to make this a parameter, should be stored in this property, which is now available up here. Hold on to your butts. But it is very much a state has changed issue. Now it didn't come back. All right, where is it? Where am I tripping up here? I'm missing something, right? In my original code over here, I have that cascading parameter set up as a protected property. It's set up, it's hiding inside of the child component, and it's being passed down into this from over here. And actually, is it because I have it both labeled as a cascading parameter? Do I need to label this as a cascading parameter? Name equals my number. Is that what I'm missing? So does this, well, let me, that's not setting it. I'm trying to get it to mirror, to behave the same way as what I have over here. Right? Nope. Well, actually, it's a number. Wait a sec. Numbers are passed by value. This is a by-ref thing. And that's kind of what I'm exploiting, right? Because it's a reference type that I'm passing around. So let's cheat and create one of those, a reference type. So let's call this my type. Let's call this order cart. I don't know, right? And let's just put a total items here, right? So now if this is order cart, my cart, I didn't know. And instead of passing that, we call it my cart. The value is my cart. The total items in my cart at the parent is, right, my cart dot total items. Okay. I think this will work. I think this will totally work. Equals new, no. What? Okay, so child, if instead of having a number here, and that's what's being passed in, no. Let's call this, yeah, sure. So that's what's being passed in. And instead of this being like that, this is like this. No, no! I don't want to click on that thing. Call this my cart. Call this my cart. My total items in the cart is, right? Number. So that's what's inside. So now I can say, and this is my cart is an order cart. Right, and I'm trying to replicate just a simple just a simple reference type here that looks like a shopping cart. All right, so that and this over here. So now it should pass 3 into the child, which will come in here, set that as the total number of items. It should say my total items is 3, and that value is pushed back onto the cascading parameter here, my cart, which should walk up and be available here. Let's see if that refreshes. That's not working. The plot thickens. So now it's feeling more and more like this is something I'm doing wrong, right? I'm not even into the test yet. I'm just trying to get it to replicate. You had to update the state for the value to change. Okay. So when this is initialized here, if I force state has changed, still didn't hit it. Doesn't mean the cascading parameter needs to be notified that the state has changed, and then Blazor sends it. It should know the state has changed, right? Do I want number equals total cart items? No, the number's being passed in here. I'm just setting it to 3. And I'm pushing it onto the myCart total items property, right? Which is just a dummy property over here. That is being... And it's just a new order cart that's created here. And is being painted up top there. So I'm not sure why it's not working. Is the instance the same on the parent as it is on the child? Fair enough. Okay, so going over to my example, I'm using table item style as the object that I'm referencing, and this is just a series of get set properties, right? It's just a class with get set properties. So I'm passing that back, right? This, and it's private here. It's nobody else can access it. So why can't I get this to function? Like, it works beautifully over in my other project. Acrophobic Pixie, Happy New Year to you too, my friend. Good to see you. So I'm kind of struggling with why does it work? Why doesn't it work? Right? The idea of the cascading parameters is I've set this value and it's made available and is passed into here. The cascading value is being, the my cart object is being passed into the child here, and it's received on this object. And let's do this. Let's create a new one of these, and let's say total items equals 99, just so it's something, so that I can put a breakpoint here and inspect it before it actually pops up. Thank you for the follow, Neutral Dread. Appreciate that. And I'm wondering how many bots are clicking through and following. Trying to get past that 10-minute timer that Robert Tables put out there. Legendary Moo is hitting the same thing. New Blazor app, you can't call out to a web API yet. You got a bunch of other people telling me to work with the web. They can work with the web API just fine. Nope. Why isn't... I thought I hit debug there. Go. Do the thing. Here we go. Make it happen. Here it is. And I want to see it hit here. There we go. Total items is 99. So this object was passed in, and we're setting number equals 3. Look, now it's rendering again. Total items 99. And we're setting to 3. It didn't ripple back up. So, okay. The parent shouldn't be that, right? Because the parent is just defining this object, and if it's being passed by reference around, it should just work. It should be referencing the same object. So here we go. That's 99. So it did pass down this order cart into the child, and it's still got 99, and we're resetting the number. But it never ripples back up. You're not telling the parent it has updated in the set of total items. So... yes, NeoAshi, you can make remote gRPC calls from Blazor WebAssembly. Yep, that can be done. My friend Dan Roth has a great video where he shows, it's his video from Ignite 2019. You can see his session. He shows how he does that, and he has some sample code that goes along with it. I've given that same demo at Tempe and at the Arizona event that I did at the beginning of this month. You can look at the other videos here on the channel, the past videos. It's at the beginning of December. You see it listed there. I gave that demo there, and I also gave that demo at Philly.net a little bit ago. This does feel like an iProperty notify change, Moz. You're right. But right, changing the child, I didn't set any kind of property change here. I have an on-initialized, and it sets that value. Yeah, Easy Light, I'm able to get it to go back up here. Let me take a look at this. I don't have any code. I don't have any code, so I have the cascading value, and it... Oh. Let me go back. Is this working? So there's a magic parameter that you can create here. Right? So we have these things called render fragments. And if you create one called child content as a parameter, and this is a way that I'm kind of cheating in how this behaves. Thank you for the follow, Stoop Kid. Welcome. From over here, I can add that child reference, and it'll pass that child number in, and I'll get this secondary render happening. I bet you that's where this is, because I'm cheating a little bit here. Check this out. Total items 99, number is 3. Good, we hit that. 99 and 3. Okay. Nope. Here I thought I was being tricksy. So let me close this. If I put that cascading parameter back on top of this, so that it matches. Let me restart. Blazor component refresh parent when model is updated from child component. Nope, didn't hit it. Let me see what Tagaron has for us. How can you force the parent component to be refreshed when it is updated from a child? Yes. Create a shared service, subscribe to the service's refresh requested action event in the parent, and invoke from the child. In the parent method, call state has changed. Interesting. You want to provide a callback that the child component can call, passing it some value. So, do I need to pass back an event arguments collection that has, here's all the things that I set? That could be done. This isn't, okay, so this isn't doing what I want it to do at all, right? And trying to get this to repro is, I feel like is spinning my tires here. And I'm figuring out that I kind of yeah, I'm not able to reproduce what I'm able to get working at all over here in this one. Right? So there's that, and the code behind is this right here. We handle that later. Right, and if I walk up the hierarchy that we've built, I don't have any events. On after render, well, that's it right there. I have an on after render in the component that calls state has changed to force it. Right, so if I put in the parent component, right, that's the child. Override on after render. Oh, you stink. On after render. Bool first render. Okay. and this returns void. Okay. Right down here. If first render state has changed. I bet you if that select method is null, nothing comes back. And actually, it never calls this. Thank you for the follow, D Silva. Welcome. Yeah, I'm going to need an event handler to push this up is what it looks like. State has changed should be called automatically. I think this. I think that needs to move outside anyway, so that it's always called. Yeah. Let me come back to that. No. Okay, so on after render, let me call state has changed. Let me do that. Right. And if I go back over to my sample, that's where my second render is coming from. Bang, there it is. So how do I get the second render, right? The second after this happens to fire, right? On after render, bang, it fires again, right? So, oh, that could be because I don't have a select method. Wouldn't that be funny if that's... See, this is what I mean by running a unit test, writing a unit test, and trying to repro it. The problem. This is why I look at it and think, oh, Jeff wrote something wrong here. One or more object reference not set to an instance of an object. Oh my! What did I do? Line 28. Get. What did I do? Oh boy. Handle unknown attributes, line 83.
Oh my.
I know. Twitchloff.
Twitchloff just resubscribed for 3 months. Arnists has saved my bacon so many times.
Unit test. Yes, they have saved my bacon. Thank you so much, Twitchloff. 3 months. That's going to put you into a red hat loyalty badge. Thank you so much. I mentioned earlier that Corgi Candy is working on a couple more emotes for us and is working on taking the Fritzbot logo, Fritzbot, and turning it into a logo with a Fritz and Friends sign that I'm going to use, and I'm gonna create some logo wear. Folks have asked, hey, can we have some merch? Can we do some neat things there to support the stream? I'm going to turn it into some logos and get some shirts made, that kind of thing. And I want... I don't want to sound like a sellout. I was asked to I was asked to promote a gamer chair. I don't like to promote things that I myself use. So I turned it around and I said I'm not going to promote something that I don't use. So they offered me a really good deal to buy a chair, and I was already looking at buying a chair. This chair I have is ancient. It's from IKEA, and it feels terrible on my keister. I've worn it out. I'm due for a new chair. The chair is more than 10 years old. The chair company offered me a good deal to buy a new chair, and they would embroider my logo into the headrest and the lumbar pillow. I was like, all right, fantastic. I'll buy the chair. And if other folks, if other viewers and whoever decide to buy a chair and use the coupon code when that sets up, they'll end up refunding the cost of the chair. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to go off and say, oh, you need to buy a chair. But I need to buy a chair anyway. And if they're going to give me a good deal and put my logo on it, fantastic. So we'll do that. This chair is a boomer. Darn Skippy, Robert Tables. Can I get some darn Skippies for Robert Tables' comment about the chair as a boomer? My goodness, you are spot on there. And I need to spend some time organizing here. But yeah, can I get some darn Skippy emotes there? There we go. Look at the peanut butter go flying. Thank you, Sean and Stormfist. Look at them all. Absolutely. It's kind of weird, Jadescu, putting sunglasses on a bot that already has sunglasses. That's a thing. So, yeah. When the error messages changes, progress is made. You're not wrong. You're not wrong there, Stelzy. So let's take a look at the error message. So this is actually somewhere. Why does it say line 80? Oh, line 33. Here. Let's do this. If so this is something that I started working on. If there are any additional attributes, we're going to do all that. We'll figure that out a little bit more later. Let me run that. You bought someone a gaming chair as a Christmas gift and they were stunned at how much better it was when they were using. Yeah. I tried out some of the chairs at my local Microsoft store, and that's the gaming company, the gaming chair company that wants to work with me. It's not Microsoft, but it's the company that provides the chairs to the Microsoft retail stores. Now we're getting here. Dispatch and assert no synchronous errors, render component under test. Now we're getting somewhere. Nope, we're still in handle unknown attributes. Any right here. Additional attributes. Oh, well, like that. Let's see if that works. Somebody was asking about this syntax. So using the Elvis operator there says, if this is something, run any against it. So that would return a true. If there are any. If this is null, well, it's going to return null. Well, null with the double question marks is going to say, well, convert that null into false. So it won't execute inside there. It's a neat little trick for running a test if something is null and default it to something else. If something is null, execute this thing. Otherwise, go return this value. There we go. What do we got now? Nope. It's still running down into here. Why is it doing that? You shouldn't be doing that. What are you doing? Why not using equals true? Well, you never have to say equals true if you're doing a test, right? If it's true, well then if true returns true. There we go. So that is null, so it should turn into false, which would fall through here. Right, there it goes. And boom goes the dynamite. Now it's coming through and it's still null, and boom goes the dynamite, it's out. One more time, still null, it shouldn't be rendering anything, right? And it goes down there. There's a lot of these. Why does it keep hitting this? I feel like I'm in an infinite loop. Is that what's going on if I hit an infinite loop here? Yeah. Maybe this is because, let me get back over here. I should only do this on first render. I think right, its firing state has changed, right? If first render, only when it's the first render do we do those. Am I the only one that does this? Chat room, can I get your opinion? I may even turn this into a poll. Let me do this. Oh, I can use count greater than 0. Ooh, Kabazi. Good point. All right, let me, yeah, you've got a very good point there. Turn this into count greater than 0. Right? That should be a thing, right? Well, wait a sec. That's not going to work now. Yeah, by making this the .any, it's returning a bool for this part. Let me go back over here. I'll talk about that in a minute. Run the test. Remove the parens. Which parens? Here. It's just the dot count. Oh, that's a dictionary. Dictionary have a dot count, or is it dot length? Test run finished. Oh. Hey, look at that. I think we got something. Skunky Gamer 96. Thank you for the follow. And go! Skunky Gamer, you need to do something about that. Welcome! Thanks so much for joining us. So if I make that... Okay. So I could do that. Or, actually, right, you were saying turn it into greater than. And at some point, performance is going to be a thing here. But I need a parenthesis around that. So I get the Boolean, right? I'm doing a secondary test here. It's not going to bounce out of this, right? Yeah. So this is returning a Boolean versus when I had it as .any. So I need to flip-flop this then. Right? Yeah, I think it is much more readable with the any like that. So it returns the Boolean, otherwise, right, so I get, yeah, I think that's fine. Oh, you're suggesting, I see, Kabazi's saying if additional attributes count like that, but if that's null, what's it return? Right? Yeah. Is it faster? Tuning is not an issue at this point. Yep, that worked. All right. I'll let that... This is something that I was tinkering with that we can get into and look at here in a minute. You're right. Well, no, I don't need the double question. The double question mark 0. Because the count will default to 0. It's an integer. This test, oh, it'd be nice if it navigated right to it. No. The test here doesn't have any additional items, right? The content coming through is 0 there. But I wanted to ask a question here about this format. So I like putting braces on their own lines because it opens up space in how we write code. But this is something that a friend of mine, a colleague that taught me, I was a young, fresh-faced developer just out of college, a colleague named Daryl Petrincuri is his name, said to me, when you're writing code like this and you have a block statement, and he particularly showed me this with SQL statements, but it applies very well to C# also. If you add an extra space between the if, the first brace, and the actual meat, the content of your block statement, it makes it a lot more readable to add that extra space in there. Chat room, what do you think of that style? Is that style of adding an extra space in your block statements, does that feel more readable to you? Can you, and I'd like to just run a quick poll on that. It does. No, says easy like. Okay. It's easier on the eyes. No. It wastes too much space. It doesn't feel more readable. Okay. You missed the so the question is, right, and I'll tell you what, I'll even put these in, put these side by side. Right, let me see if I can do that real quick. So, right. TBD Gamer
just resubscribed for 7 months.
Thank you so much for that. TBD Gamer is one of our founders here and a live coder. Thank you so much for hanging out, and we'll make another donation for your sub. So, right, here's sample 1. Sample 2. Let me just kick up a quick poll, because I would like to get, manage your poll. Where's manage? There it is. New poll. Oh my gosh, Jeff, you can't type. Which code sample is easier to read? Sample 1, space between extra space, and sample 2. No voting with bits. I'll just make this a quick 2-minute poll. There you go. So go ahead and click in. There's the poll is there on Twitch. If you're watching the recording, sorry, I'll show you the results here in just a minute. But you can view the poll. You can participate. I can actually embed the poll. Stop it. Really? I can do that? What's that look like if I just navigate to it? Oh, look at that. Browser source URL, so I could embed that. I don't want to show the results too much there. Why don't I indent my blocks? I did. See, it's indented right there. Ninja Ola, hello. In C# but in SQL where you begin end, it feels more readable with spaces, says Smokey Bob. That's a very good point. Let me highlight. I'm going to highlight that. Call that out because I think that's a very good point. Where'd it go? The brace is already given an element of margin above and below. Where'd it go? There's Smokey Bob. Legendary Moo says indent the code and the braces. Hang on, let me show this. So, Easy Late says the indent already makes it readable, so the extra line doesn't make it more readable. Okay. And here's quoting Mark, the braces already give it some margin, so you don't need to give it any more. But here's what Smokey Bob was saying. In SQL, where you use begin and end statements, it's more readable with spaces. And Legendary Moo says indent the code in the braces. Well, I'm already indenting the code inside the braces, so I'm not sure how much more. You know what, Parathon? I've seen that also. Mobile doesn't get it. Doesn't get the poll. And the results are overwhelming. Sample 2 by 90%. Oh my goodness, what's vote breakdown say? 3 voters. I don't. Yeah, I didn't allow. I don't. Voting with bits wasn't really needed to be a thing here. That's interesting. Okay. Noted. Thank you very much for the feedback. You don't think either is more readable, says Webface. You find both readable, says Mike Holloway, but sample 1 seems too spaced out. Okay. That's fair. I feel like adding the extra spaces when you have larger font, yeah, becomes a lot. Particularly when you start with comment here, right? But to my eyes, that's all jammed together. And there's no room to breathe here. It doesn't feel like it's significant. So that's always been my standard, is this extra spacing here. Thank you for the follow, Fawmaw. Welcome. Python PEP8 says that classes should be preceded by 2 blank lines. Interesting, I didn't know that. Make it a bigger tab. EasyLight writes more Java, so I have to acclimate to the brace on a separate line. So when I write, even when I write an if statement that I keep all as one line, when I write an if statement that has a single clause to it, right? I'll write it as one whole line, and I'll make it go the whole way across. And you see that particularly, where is it? Inside the, where's the style? I didn't do it there, and I want to talk about this bit in a second here. Here in table item style, right? So if this isn't the default, append the name going across, and see I wrote it as one line because I have a feeling there's going to be a bunch of these ifs that it just outputs. Yeah, I am using braces as line separators. You're right. Is that Michael Since? You're right. Yeah. You're thinking I'm paid by the line, says quoting Mark.
Wow.
Maybe.
You can do it!
And get paid. No. I think folks that do get paid by the line, they don't count empty lines there. Ugly, especially with a ternary operator. Fawmaw likes 2 lines better. Okay. You dig the Mando hat. You like the Mando hat. Yeah, you like that? So over the weekend I watched the last episode of The Mandalorian. And that was a nice way they wrapped up. I mean, it was set up so that it was a completely... it was a complete story. You could kind of use your imagination about how they went off into the sunset at the end. And I'm not telling you who went off into the sunset. Somebody went off into the sunset. And they left it open for some interesting discussion with how some of the evil characters, some of the antagonist characters concluded the story there. It was neat. Had to quick mute. Haven't watched. No, FOMO. I'm not saying anything about it. It was a nice ending. It was wrapped up in a way that left it for your imagination, or they could certainly start another season. And you're right, Sean. You're right, Sean of the Dev. You're absolutely right. Already confirmed for fall, they're going to do another one. Yep. And I think Disney Plus is now feeling what HBO sees, where each season, when Game of Thrones ends, or when Sopranos ends, or choose whatever their big series is, when that ends, everybody ditches their subscription until the next one's released. The ternary operator. That's, yes, you're right, Tagaron. You're absolutely right. So let me come back. I love that this works now, and now I can go back to our friend Egil and say, oh, no, that was a bug in my code. And I can get rid of this test repro here, right? I don't need this anymore. Close that. We figured out what the problem was. The Witcher, Shaun of the Dev. Yes, The Witcher is a thing now too. I haven't watched it yet. I need to watch it. I'm wondering if I should try watching it on my Oculus, because you can do Netflix on the Oculus and it looks really big on it. I'm wondering if I should try that. And I played Vader Immortal. I got through the first episode on the Oculus, and that was amazing. It's interesting, you can't die during the lightsaber fights. You can fall off the side of a cliff, but you can't die getting swatted with a lightsaber. So that's a thing. It was like, oh no, I'm terrible with my lightsaber. These things are hitting me, and it didn't hurt. So that's a thing. And if you have an Oculus, if you have a VR headset, let me tell you, they always said when they made the Star Wars movie that the actor they chose to be in the suit for Darth Vader, right? Welcome to Star Wars Talk. I'm your host, Jeff. They always said when they made A New Hope, right, the first Star Wars movie back in the 70s, that Darth Vader was supposed to be big and menacing and an impressive presence. You don't get that sense when you see the movies. You just say, oh, it's a tall guy, and the folks that he's around are other tall actors, because you don't want, the folks on screen to be significantly different in size. That's a directing thing. But when you're playing Vader Immortal on the VR headset, dear Lord, Vader is massive. Vader walks up to you. I don't care how tall you are. I don't care how big you are. I don't care how short you are. Well, maybe if you are short. If you're Hobbit-sized, you're still going to feel like Vader is gigantic. He walks up to you, and you're literally, hello. And he is a big dude. And he's a dude, right? There's no way to describe it. I mean, a guy who's got literally buttons and mechanics and status lights blinking on his chest. That's a dude. And wow. Yeah, you need to play it. It's really, if I can figure out how to cast it over to OBS, because I have the Oculus Quest, it's the wireless one. If I can figure out how to do it, I might play it here on stream, just because it was a really cool experience. Yeah, Mark, Star Wars Talk, sponsored by C# Fritz. Lucasfilm has no input on the making of this presentation.
Well, do your best.
I am. David Prowse was 6'6". Yeah, Stormfist. He was a big guy. And right, compared to the other actors who were, 5'10", 5'7", he was a big dude. And he feels gigantic. So, yeah, you can't die by the lightsaber. So. No, Johan, I don't want to see this about The Witcher. Does Lucasfilm even have any input anymore? Actually, they're talking about having George Lucas come back to film episode 10. We'll see. You kept trying to push the buttons on Vader's chest. It doesn't work. I can't do nothing. Peter Mayhew was 7'2". Oh my gosh. He was a big dude. Those actors did a tremendous job in the original trilogy of Star Wars movies. I'm not going to talk about Rise of Skywalker. I enjoyed the movie. It was a good popcorn movie. I wouldn't say that it was a good technical movie, but it was great. Yeah, there you go. 5'9", 6'1". Yep. Star Wars or Star Trek? I like them both. And honestly, I really didn't like The Last Jedi. like I've only seen it once, and it was in the theater, and I hated it. And Rogue One, I wasn't a fan of either. I fell asleep during Rogue One in the theater. I need to watch it again, give it a second chance. My friend Imperial would be very upset at me that I haven't seen it. Again. So, there we go. All the tests run. You know what? I'm going to check this in because we've got it working now. Here we go. Hey, remember when we used to write code on stream? Fixed the double render issue with components in the unit test. So the unit test should pass now. Now see, why didn't it prompt me to sign? I think it's because my PC goes to sleep and it shuts off the USB hub that I'm connected to here. All right, let's see if I actually remember my PIN. Nope, that wasn't it. That was it. Too many pins. So that should push, it should update, it should build, and we should be good to go. Yeah, check it in. Absolutely. This is a coding stream? What? What? Are you kidding me?
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
I do.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Darn Skippy. All right. So what I was trying to do... Now, there's a ton of parameters here. Let me kind of frame this next thing. What I was talking about, let's add some more style to this. When I was adding some more parameters, right? Because I figured adding more parameters is going to take a long time to do, right? Because there's a lot of parameters here, the style parameters to add to the header style object. And I felt like adding all of these attributes is something, and passing them back and forth is going to be really frickin' boring to do on stream. You know what I'm saying there, chat room? And I don't want to bore you on stream because that's like a cardinal sin. So if I click through to the header style sample that I have over here, and let me just let that flow through. There it goes. So I set up and I added the ability to set the font color. Because color is a thing, we need to be able to pass that back and forth. And the way that you do it with the header style is, right, you can either set back color here, and actually, that's in the test. If I show you here, you can either specify on the header style element back color, or the way that you used to be able to do it is you would have this header style dash formatting to specify an override for the different child element things that you want to specify here. Not bad, right? So if I'm doing this for everything in header style, there's also footer style, there's a handful of these, and I'm going to do that same thing everywhere. That's a pain in the neck. And I'm going to have to do that for every single one of those attributes. So I was looking at my data list here, and I started doing it with this if statement. If it contains this key, if this attribute is set, well, go set that value on the child element. Blah, 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 blah. And this is left-right monkey code. I mean, it's literally... The only difference between this and this is literally that. So, I'm smart. I can do this. So what I started thinking was, can we do a little bit of reflection? And go find, for the header style elements, go find all the settings, select those out so I have a collection of, here's the key value pairs for the header style. And pass that in somewhere, or just use some reflection across it and say, oh, here's the property, here's the value, set it. And pass that in and write a little bit of smart code to do that. Then I can have my footer style and all my other styles and child styling elements like this behave and do the same thing, so I don't have to set up all the attributes and write these 4 lines of code, 2 lines of code, including the braces. And really, if I was doing it the way that I wanted to, it would be 6 lines of code because I get paid by the lines of code. You're right, Simo. It's a little bit like an auto mapper. That's exactly what we're doing here. Well done. Yes, it is. It's an auto mapper that we're going to do between attributes with that special syntax and the child element that has similar name. So this is where I started down to try and make this work. And we're at the end of my normal time here. Just double checking my schedule to make sure that I'm not. Yeah, I'm clear. And am I clear today? Yeah, I'm good. I can keep going. Okay. All right, don't need to stop. Good. How about using IL generation instead of reflection? Well, IL generation inside of a .NET standard project is a little messy. Versus if I use, reflection, people say reflection is slow because it takes 10 to 20 milliseconds. For using this as a shim to port somebody's web forms application, you're already getting a lot of speed coming out the backside because you're on Blazor instead of web forms. I'm not as concerned about that yet. So I want to go through and see what I can do to make some of these work. And slow is relative. Any considerations for using reflection in core for the new compilation functions? I don't know, Simo, to be perfectly honest. And you know what? That's a good question for someone like my friend Kathleen Dollard or Emo Landworth, who focus on both the language and on the framework respectively. I would want to. That's a very good question, Simo. I'm going to take that down and see what I can. And I'm going to ask them. That's a great question. See what I can figure that out. If somebody was concerned about that type of performance, they probably didn't use web forms to start with. You're not wrong. So instead of writing these, right, and I wrote a little helper method here to get the color appropriately from the HTML as a color object. I have a feeling we're going to need to do similar things as we go through this. Take care, DJ Vortex. Have a good one. So now I could do a for each, right? Let's call this item style so I know that it's an item in the header styles collection, right? So now I want to find the property with the same name, right? So let's say this is the header style type equals type of, and it's actually the table item style, right? So now I can say header style type dot find, I don't know if, can I go after, get property, let me get the property with the name, item style dot key, right? So now it's going to be, I've ripped off the front header style, so now I've got things like back color, fore color, whatever. So I'm going to go find that. So now I should have that property info, and I should be able to say set value. The object that I'm setting it on is the actual header style object, and the value that I'm setting is going to be, now this is where I need to do, I might need to do some type specific casting here. That could be ugly. Let's see what happens. Item style dot value. That's what I want to be able to do. Now, to test and see if this works, I'm going to write another test. So in table layout, I already have this for header style. So let's just create another header style, and we'll call this inline header style. There we go, like this. Okay. And instead here, hey, thank you for the follow. And I'll make that blue. Get rid of this, and everything else should just work. So I'm going to tell this, run the tests here, so it picks up and finds inline header style. It already found it there. Look at that. And let's see if it passes properly. Thank you for the follow, Indy So B. Is that, or yeah? Let me know. There we go. Test failed. System string, look, cannot be converted to system drawing color because the type is a color on the object, right? This, it's trying to set. So value comes out and it's a string, and I want to convert it back into a color. But I only want to convert it if it is in fact a color. So it's like I need to inspect the type that the property is expecting and cast it appropriately. Right? So that's... What if I did this? Right? I could say prop set value as prop dots no, right? Because prop is property info. Let's call this prop info, just so that it doesn't. Wood. Yes, I did see that message from you, Zoltra Lord. Congratulations. The Telleric controls from Progress are really good. I should get commission. No. All of the control vendors make control vendors out there for .NET make really good product, whether it's DevExpress, Progress Telleric, Component One, Sync Fusion, Infragistics. They all make tremendous controls. My experience is with the Telleric controls, and so I do have a bias towards them. I try not to expose and share that bias too much. I do admit to it, but I try to use each of the vendors' controls equally and share and promote them equally. But my experience is with the Telleric controls. So they all have really great components. I have been trained, and I think the same way that the Telleric controls work. But I have used the DevExpress controls. I have used the Infragistics controls as part of production projects in the past. They're all very good components. The Telleric ones, for me, because I've worked with them, are a particular favorite. Little Saf Big, welcome. Or is it Lilsa? Welcome. So why am I should be able to get the type of the property, right? Prop info, right? Shouldn't I? Yeah. Property type should be a type. I should be able to say, right? Property type. But it's not right. Yeah. So how do I cast? Right? That's. How do I cast that type there? Well, isn't convert change type? Isn't that a? All right. I stand corrected. So let's see. I don't think that's going to work because it's coming out as a string and it's not going to convert to it. I don't think. Yeah. Invalid cast from string to color. And that's why I wrote this get color from HTML. Right, which then feels like, here we go, look at this. Right, I would be doing something like prop info dot property type equals color, right? Because it's a type, so type of, so that we're comparing the two. Then I would say prop info item style dot value dot that. Otherwise, it's item style dot value, which means then this becomes out value. And for the colors, that should work. But then I've got other things that will that I'll need to do for border style and units and things. Now that works. Okay. So I may need to put a interesting little switch statement in there across the various different types. Twitchloff asks, and it's a good question. Let me pop that up there. Pattern matching switch. No, it's going to be tricky. Any reason I'm not using live unit testing? Live unit testing with the Blazor unit tests is a little clumsy. It's a lot clumsy. Let me show you. So I love me some live unit testing. Don't get me wrong. Kick this on. But with how the Blazor controls render, it was, at least last time I tried running it here, it was a little kludgy. It was a little clumsy working. Not to mention the fact that the build takes a long time. See, look. It doesn't even build right. And I can't even find that folder. Can't even find the folder. What am I going to do with that? So the way that the unit test framework that we're using is building and hooking up, live unit testing somewhere isn't able to interact with it. So the regular unit testing, and here's another thing. Test Explorer, Control E-T. See that right there? Control E-T, and it puts this here. I don't know what this is, but that's not it. So there's something wrong with that hotkey there. But if I just open it up, there it is. So I'll work with that. And I have this set to run the tests on every build. So I'll just go in that direction, have it build and run those. But, right, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Run tests after build. Yes, do that. Go. Build, test, run. Do the thing. Control R-A. There it goes. Run all my tests. So, running all the tests, all right, I want to make that as simple and as quick as possible. And live unit testing does a tremendous job with that. But the way the Razor test framework is built here, it just doesn't... What? There it goes. And all my tests run successfully. So I'm going to remove this because I think we've refactored into this reflection mode nicely. And as we add additional style types here, we'll abstract that out more. So when we get to footer style types, we should be able to refactor this into a generic method that we just call into for each one of those style elements and just blast through and build the various style elements. So, right, I have header styles, the first one that I started working with here. And I have back color, border style, border width, border this, border that. Boring. No, not really. Yeah, like the hat, Zultralord. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm going to continue adding features here, and the toString is just creating and outputting more and more of, oh, I need a semicolon at the end of that, of the CSS parameters that go with this. So, yeah, you're right, Twitchloft. Something isn't copied over. There's something in how it interacts that it isn't doing properly for the shim that we're using that interacts here. And that's okay. I'm using, this is a preview version of Visual Studio. I'm running a preview version of the unit test framework on a preview version of Blazor. So something's not quite right there. That's okay. We'll figure that out. So what I'm going to do, and I'll do this offline, and this is where I'm going to wrap up today, is I'll continue building out this table item style, add all these other features here, have it do the appropriate formatting as setting up and outputting the CSS output here, so that we have this table item style class properly converting the properties that are defined in ASP.NET and making them available in Blazor as rendered CSS content. So let me clean up here, and we'll get ready for our raid to hand things off. Yes, we are running a preview version of Blazor. This is the way. I have spoken. Thank you for the follow, Keonius. Appreciate you joining us. So let me head over. Let's close that. All right. What new files do we have here? We have our new unit test, and we have those changes that we made to do the little bit of reflection there. So I will add those changes. I will commit. Refactored identification of the additional attributes using reflection. And that should be something, like I said, that we can reuse and push around and do some pretty important things with here. So let me head over here, get rid of that, go over here, and we should see a test build fire for the branch that I kicked out here. There it is, right there. And we'll be able to watch this build out here on Azure DevOps. Here it comes. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. That's right, I'm not using Windows Terminal. Nope. I like using standard command prompt right now. This video, like all my other videos, will get pushed over to YouTube. I'm going to be spending a lot of time later today pushing stuff through YouTube, getting all of our archive updated over there, because I've got about a little bit more than 30 videos that we need to share and get running over there. You know what? I'm going to set us up. Yeah, let's do this. Somebody, I don't think we've ever raided here. We're going to raid another live coder member. And come on, load up there. We beat the bots. Yes, we did. Let's issue the raid call, because we're going to raid Codephobia. Let me set that up. Come on. Why isn't it? Codephobia. There he is. He's working on some mapping, it looks like.
So part of it, I think, is my database.
Yeah.
It's just running like a potato.
It's running like a potato. Very cool. And he's doing some mapping with Angular, no less. Angular Java JS. Not Angular JS, but Angular. You know what I mean. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. This was a lot of fun. We got done a lot today, and I am really happy with how we figured out why the unit test was breaking. And look at that. It's breaking out here. Wonderful. I'll figure that out and get this fixed so we can move on. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Get ready to say hi to Codephobia. Use that raid call when you get over there, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care.